The video opens on a rooftop somewhere in a mid-sized American city, string lights overhead, coolers stacked against the wall, and 6 European soccer fans standing around with paper plates in their hands, completely unaware of what's about to happen to their evening. They've been told only that they're attending a normal American celebration, and most of them assume that means another barbecue, another round of burgers, and small talk about football versus soccer. Nobody in the group, not the Liverpool supporter, not the Real Madrid season ticket holder, not the Bayern Munich diehard, has any real concept of what an American fireworks show actually looks like at full scale. And that gap between expectation and reality is exactly what the next 10 minutes are built to exploit. The first few minutes are quiet by design, almost deliberately underwhelming, because the creators clearly wanted the eventual payoff to hit as hard as possible. The group chats casually about the food, comparing American barbecue to the tapas and currywurst they're used to back home, and the Italian fan jokes that if this is the big American tradition everyone talks about, he's not particularly impressed. The French fan, ever skeptical, says he's seen better fireworks at a regional French festival and doesn't expect much from what he assumes will be a modest neighborhood display. This early dismissiveness is important because it sets up exactly the kind of confident, underprepared energy that makes the eventual reaction so satisfying to watch. And anyone who has seen a proper American 4th of July show knows precisely what's coming for them. Then the first boom hits, and everything changes instantly. It isn't a single firework testing the air, it's an opening volley, dozens of shells launching at once, and the entire rooftop lights up in gold and red before the group even has time to look up properly. The Spanish fan nearly drops his plate, physically flinching at the sound before his brain catches up to what's happening above him. The German fan, who spent the earlier portion of the night calmly explaining the difference between Bundesliga and Premier League financial structures, is rendered completely speechless, mouth open, head tilted back, unable to form a sentence for a solid 10 seconds. This is the moment the video's title earns itself, because "Nobody was ready" stops being a hook and becomes a literal, visible fact playing out in real time across 6 faces that were, just moments earlier, thoroughly unimpressed. What follows is less a single reaction and more an escalating series of them, because American fireworks shows are not built around one big moment, they're built around relentless, layered spectacle. And the video smartly lets that structure do the storytelling. As the show moves from opening volleys into a sustained middle section, the Italian fan starts comparing individual bursts to goals in a match, pointing at a particularly large gold chrysanthemum shell and shouting that it deserves a video assistant referee review because there's no way that was legal. The Manchester fan, still visibly stunned, keeps repeating that back home this would be the finale, the biggest moment of the entire night, and yet here it's just the middle of the show, with clearly more building behind it. This running commentary works so well because it captures something true about the American approach to fireworks, which is scale not as an exception but as an expectation, a baseline that keeps climbing rather than a single peak. The rancher-turned-fireworks guide for the evening, a local pyrotechnician brought in specifically to narrate the display for the group, uses the mid-show lull to explain some of what's actually happening, and this section grounds the spectacle in real information rather than just noise and color. He explains the different shell types, walking the group through peonies, chrysanthemums, and willows, describing how each one is engineered to explode in a specific shape and color pattern. The German fan, ever precise, immediately wants to know the physics behind the timing, asking how organizers synchronize dozens of separate launch points to create such an even layered wave of explosions. The French fan, meanwhile, is far less interested in the mechanics and far more interested in the sheer cost of what he's watching, doing rough math out loud and getting visibly stunned when the pyrotechnician mentions the actual budget for a show this size, comparing it instantly to transfer fees in football and deciding that this, too, counts as an obscene amount of money well spent. As the show builds toward its final stretch, the group's energy shifts from stunned silence into full, unfiltered excitement, and this is where the video hits its emotional stride. The Spanish fan, who spent the early part of the night comparing everything back to football, finally abandons the comparisons altogether and just starts cheering at the sky like he's watching a last-minute winner in a Champions League final. The Italian fan, previously dismissive, is now filming everything on his phone while simultaneously trying to describe what he's seeing to someone on a video call back home, clearly failing to find the right words in either English or Italian. This section is less about individual reactions and more about the group as a whole. 6 people from 6 different countries, momentarily united by the same wide-eyed disbelief. And the camera work here smartly stays wide, letting the audience see the whole group's reaction, rather than cutting too aggressively between close-ups. The finale itself is where the video saves its biggest moment, and it does not disappoint. What had already felt like an overwhelming amount of fireworks suddenly multiplies again, shells launching in such rapid succession that the sky stops going dark between bursts at all, color bleeding into color, sound overlapping sound, until the entire rooftop is bathed in continuous light, and the group can genuinely no longer tell where one explosion ends and the next begins. The Manchester fan, who earlier compared the middle of the show to a European finale, now simply stands there shaking his head, saying there's no equivalent for this anywhere he's ever been. No stadium moment, no title-winning celebration, nothing built by human hands he's personally witnessed that matches this particular kind of engineered chaos. The German fan, finally breaking his analytical composure completely, just laughs, open and unguarded, admitting that he has officially given up trying to calculate anything and is just going to enjoy it. When the finale ends, and the smoke begins to drift lazily across the rooftop, lit orange from the streetlights below, the group falls into a different kind of silence than the one they started the night with. Not confused or dismissive, but genuinely stunned into stillness. The Real Madrid fan is the first to speak, saying quietly that he expected fireworks. Obviously, everyone does fireworks somewhere, but he did not expect them to feel like an event in themselves, a full experience rather than an accessory to some other celebration. The French fan, so skeptical at the start of the night, admits without hesitation that he was wrong. That whatever he'd seen at regional festivals back home was not remotely in the same category as what just happened above their heads for the better part of the last 20 minutes. The video closes with the group still on the rooftop, the smell of sulfur hanging faintly in the air, plates forgotten, conversation shifted entirely away from football, for what might be the first time all night. There's no need for a forced narrator wrap-up, because the fans provide it themselves, trading final reactions as the credits begin to roll, each one trying and failing to fully articulate what they just watched. The last word goes to the Italian fan, who, still staring up at the now empty, smoke-hazed sky, simply says that he came expecting a nice dinner and a few pretty lights, and instead witnessed something that made him understand, for the first time, why Americans build an entire holiday around a sky that explodes for 20 straight minutes.